The mountains of Kasserine are host to an invisible danger. This man recently lost his 9-year-old son, Thamer, who was killed in a mine explosion on March 11.
The pile of plastic you see here was collected by my son. He kept asking me to go to the recyclers. He thought that we might finally be able to afford a telephone. I left the pile as it was since the day of his death. Same for the bicycle. I'd promised to change the wheel.
Apart from gathering plastic, Thamer would also help his mother. The day he was killed, he went with her and their neighbor, a schoolmate, to pick halfa, a wild mountain plant.
They were on their way back home when the kids stepped on a mine. Their mothers came running, but it was already too late. My son died instantly, the other child half an hour later. They carried the mangled bodies of their children on their backs and brought them back home.
Since 2012, this mountain range spanning Algeria and Tunisia has become the scene of conflict between security forces and various insurgents. They take advantage of the rugged terrain to hide, and they set up mines to make the terrain more difficult for the military. But the victims of these mines are all too often locals, those who have no other choice but to venture in the mountains for their subsistence, like this father of 5 trying to feed his family.
We don't have the money to buy hay, so instead our sheep eat this local plant called halfa. Before, women would take the herd to graze in the mountains, but now they don't want to go there anymore.
A few kilometers away, we meet Mukhtar, who lives at the foot of Mount Marila, near Sidi Bouzid. He narrowly escaped death after stepping on a mine.
A mine exploded just under my leg. I was launched into the air. I had wounds here, here and here.
He had gone to pick rosemary.
These landmines are never set up in a precise and defined area. We don't know how to avoid them. They're always scattered randomly.
Today, he and his wife are hoping for state assistance since they no longer dare to venture into the mountains.
I'm really scared now. If they give us some financial compensation, I think I'll leave. I don't want to live here anymore.
Officials don't communicate numbers of how many have been killed or wounded by mine explosions, but in this year alone, 3 civilians and 4 security forces have died. The conflict is yet one more reason, on top of economic stagnation and neglect, that the rural population is fleeing to cities, something the local governor says he's trying to contain.
Our security forces are working hard to combat terrorist groups in the region, whether in Kasserine or elsewhere. This is buying us time to try and find solutions for our local people to be able to stay in their properties. The state is also working to support locals socially and economically.
For some families, the conflict turned their lives upside down, even inside their homes. Like here at the foot of Mount Saloum near the village of Hassi el-Farid. In 2018, this home was at the heart of a battle between insurgents and soldiers. A relative of those who lived there spoke to us anonymously.
Look, that's a bullet. That hole also. And same here too. Security forces fired from there and terrorists from the other side. Our soldiers killed one of them.
Since then, the place has been abandoned, too exposed to the risk of insurgents returning.
When they came down, there would always be at least 3 of them, but sometimes up to a dozen. They would come and ask for food and water. That's why the family had to alert the authorities. But now this property is impossible to sell. It's infamous.
Some are still trying to survive, like this independent journalist who inherited a plot of land at the foot of Mount Shambi. Military search operations take place there frequently.
الجر نتاع فوزدق مش معناها الوحيده هذه فما برشا اخرين هذا غارسين زيتون لهنا كيف غارسين لوز.
For him, the region can't be left to armed groups.
We Tunisians are willing to repopulate these regions, and the state would encourage farmers to stay on their land, either by providing them with a place to live or by supplying water for irrigation. But up until now, the only thing we've gained is this road, which allows the army to come and go. Okay, so it cuts my land in two, but this is the only positive thing that we've had in recent years, a paved road.
It's been 5 years since they were promised an irrigation system. The first half was built, but it's still unusable. Work is at a standstill, with no resumption in sight. With locals in distress, we contacted the Defense Ministry to better understand its counter-terrorism strategy in the country, but it did not respond to our requests.